It was early morning. One of my friends was a local gunsmith, and he handed out firearms to anybody who'd take one. You see, the Daltons got it in their heads to rob two banks at the same time. Two banks on the same damn street. Story was Bob Dalton's girl was always writing about how he had no ambition. Oh, you're nobody next to Jesse James, she'd say. Finally, the bastard took his brothers to Coffeyville just to shut her up.
Right. It's always the woman's fault.
Well, the locals recognized the Daltons right off.
We got it.
Before they could get away, half the town took up arms to defend their property. The brothers paid dearly for their stupidity, but everybody knows they had it coming.
There's more to it than that. I read all about that day, so I know for a fact that it went down very differently. First of all, it was high noon. A posse of U.S. deputy marshals were on the rooftop across the street.
Get ready, boys. They're gonna make a move.
The lawmen had been tracking the Daltons for months. Now they finally had them dead to rights. But those boys had a reputation as stone-cold killers, so the marshals took every precaution, knowing they wouldn't go easy. Among them was a bounty hunter feared by many a lawbreaker. The marshals tried to get the Daltons to surrender.
They'll give up eventually. We just gotta get the son of a bitch down.
This bounty hunter knew that the brothers were far too proud to ever lay down their guns. He went in there alone to confront those criminals. One of the marshals shouted, "Where are you going? Are you crazy?"
Hey, where do you think you're going, dumbass? That rifle's mine.
But he paid him no mind. He saw a way to get around to the back of the bank. Then he figured out how to hit the Daltons from a direction they weren't expecting. From above. Fortunately, a water tower was right there. A moment later, he was climbing up a steep ladder, laughing at danger as he did. It was brave men like him who risked their lives to tame this wild country.
We've got company.
Heroic men like him, who did what other men couldn't or wouldn't to make this country free. Like Jim Bowie and Davy Crockett, who died defending the Alamo.
Is that Silas Greaves? Son of a bitch! I'm gonna make you pay for that. Had enough? Over there! That's Silas Greaves! What the hell?
Blam! He came away victorious, taking down those thieving Daltons. His name was Silas Greaves, and when the dust finally settled, he was the last man standing.
Sorry, kid, but that just wasn't the way it happened. It was early evening, not high noon. The Daltons blew up a safe, and were all set to hightail it out of there. I was late to the party, and Coffeyville was already up in arms. Those pathetic deputies surrounding the bank were dropping like flies. I'd been tracking those jokers for months, waiting for them to do something reckless. And finally, they did. Those stupid bastards decided to rob 2 banks at the same time in the same town where everybody knew them. But they still had friends in Coffeyville. Those friends came after me like a pack of wild dogs, tooth and nail. They were coming at me from all directions. I caught sight of the Daltons running with the money and didn't want to lose them. Problem was, they knew the town better than I did. And to top it off, I found myself in the middle of another shootout entirely.
Did the Daltons hole up in somebody's house?
No, it was the Smiths, I believe. They were cousins of the Daltons. They were shooting at the Browns, who were shooting at the Daltons. Which wasn't any surprise, because those 2 families have been feuding forever. And since the Joneses are related to the Browns, they shot at the Smiths, pissing off the Heimhoffers, whose daughter recently married a Smith. Well, bullets were flying every which way as all the old feuds in Kansas caught fire all at once. There was a hell of a lot of pissed off people in Coffeyville that day. But that's just the way life is sometimes. Shit happens. The Dalton boys knew I would never give up. Those Daltons weren't the sharpest knives in the drawer, but they always stood together. They set a trap to slow me down and allow at least 2 of them to escape. The 3rd brother stayed behind to plant me, just in case that trap of theirs didn't work. It was Emmett, the youngest, and he decided to stand his ground and face me down.
I ain't afraid of you, Silas Reeves. This is where it ends for you.
He was determined to protect his brothers. I understood how he felt. Taking me on all by his lonesome wasn't exactly a recipe for a long life.
By me, Reeves.
But Emmett Dalton survived the robbery in Coffeyville. He's the only Dalton who did.
They say he was shot 23 times.
Well, Dwight, who do you think put all those damn holes in him? But I have to admit, that boy had grit.
We'll get those suckers!
It took me a couple of days to track the Daltons down.
They can't get away with this!
And in that time, a whole posse of local vigilantes offered to lend a hand.
We'll track them to the ends of the earth.
They seemed as determined as me to find those outlaws. But as we headed into those swamps, it was like I had my own private army. There was no way those boys were getting away this time.
It was early fall, right? Beautiful time of year. At least you had the weather on your side.
Not by my recollection. It was damp and foggy as hell. It was tough to stay on a true course, so we kept an eye out for landmarks. It was autumn. The maple trees were in full color, red as blood. The rains that year were torrential, so the whole area was flooded. The vigilantes had spread out wide, and pretty soon I couldn't see anybody.
Bury them in the swamp. Plant them where they stand.
Except for some bitches ahead of me wanting to do me harm.
We'll stop here and we'll start from this point in the next live.